grade, it's Miss Frannis, and we've been talking a lot about MLA citation and plagiarism and all of that. This is going to be kind of a review year for you, so you don't really have to worry about it. We're not going to delve into MLA citation like we did last year. We're going to take a little bit of a break and we're going to do some writing, but I do want to review it before we start that process. So I hope you looked at your MLA citation PowerPoint that I had listed there, so you could see how to do and remind yourself how to do those citations on your works cited page. And then I did include a PowerPoint last week on plagiarism to remind yourself that, you know, not to plagiarize and to use your own words, write things in your own words, that you need to make sure you quote, summarize, and even if you do all of that, you still make sure that it is on your works cited page because you got that information from somewhere. And today, we're going to be talking more about plagiarism, and this is Rule 3. And when writing about somebody else's ideas, remember to always cite your source. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these two note cards and pretend that we researched them and we wrote them. And we are going to use these sources in a paragraph that we're going to be writing. So hopefully you have printed that out, and I also included the answer key for you just in case you wanted to go through it again. And it shows you kind of how to do everything. So your task is to identify where each piece of information comes from and provides clear citation that shows the origin of each idea that is not your own work or not common knowledge. So we're going to do the following. I actually have 3 things here. So I have a highlighter, which I'm going to need. And then I have 2 different colored pens because it's kind of easier that way to use 2 different colors to see, you know, what needs to be changed or what doesn't need to be changed. So that's what I have on me right now. So we have our 2 cards here, and it says the single underline all the information that comes from the Titans 997 note card, which is this top one here. Then we're going to double underline all the information that comes from the Littleton 1373 page note card right here. So this is where you found this information. You found it on page 997. You found this one on page 1373, and you wrote those on your cards. We're going to highlight all the ideas that come from you, that you rewrote, or that is considered common knowledge. And then finally, we're going to add parenthetical citations, and then we're going to punctuate where necessary. So we're going to practice those parenthetical citations or parenthetical documentations or in-text citations, however you want to say it. It all means the same thing. Where you find that quote or statistic, you put the author's last name, page number in parentheses with a period, and it makes you look really smart. And we're going to do more work with that next week too. So let's just get started. So the first thing we have to do, single underline. So I'm going to take my blue marker and I'm going to read my Titans card. And it says the Titans represent huge, primitive, hard to control forces. Indeed, many of the Titans are embodiments of the forces of nature. The myth of the Titans and their downfall includes a theme common throughout Greek mythology. The fate of God or person cannot be avoided, no matter how hard one might try to change it. So we know that first card, we do just a single underline. So we're going to literally underline this whole card, not Titans or 987, just what we had written on the card. So we single underlined that one. Then we're going to go to that Littleton one, our card here, and we're going to double underline it. So in Greek mythology, Horus was the youngest of the Titan children, the creator of deities, Uranus and Gaia. He dethroned his father as ruler of the universe, but himself was overthrown by his own mighty children, the Olympians, led by Zeus. Some historians suggest that these usurpations reflect the traditions of people who over centuries gradually invaded mainland Greece and merged uneasily with the region's earlier inhabitants. So we're just going to go through literally and double underline. So why did I do this? Because I'm actually going to use these in my paper that I've written, and I need to remind myself where I got them. So the blue I got from Titans, and that's only underlined once. The green I got from Littleton, and I underlined those twice. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to actually use these in my paper, and we're going to incorporate that within our writing. So you have these to refer to. So just remember that as I switch papers here. So this is your paper that you wrote, and we're going to go ahead now and take our highlighter. We're going to underline everything that's either common knowledge or that we kind of recited and redid in our own words. So we're going to go through, and if it matches our notes, we're going to underline it, and then we're going to do our parenthetical citations. So, of course, Greek myths revealing ancient lives. So, learning about ancient cultures can be difficult because so many of the buildings, artifacts, and writings have been lost in the centuries since the society flourished. In the case of the ancient Greeks, archaeologists and historians have tools such as temples, statues, coins, artwork, and some writings to help them reconstruct the past. They can also use the stories told by the Greeks, which, while mythological, may reveal how they viewed their world and the ways in which they constructed their society. It's been a long day for me too, so if I stumble, that's probably why. So when we read that first chunk there, did anything match our card? No, nothing matches our card. We did all of this ourselves. We do not have to, do parenthetical citations or documentations on this because we rewrote it in our own words, or it is common knowledge. So let's go ahead and highlight that. For example, historians know that the original Greek gods, the Titans, were said to have been brought into being by Gaia and Uranus. The Titans were personified forms of natural forces. Okay. So, looking here, we have to go back to our cards. So we know that this is from Littleton. For example, historians know, that the original Greek gods, the Titans, were said to have been brought into being by Gaia and Uranus. So, we find this right here. We know that it's here, right here. So it's on our Littleton card. We know it's right there because we underlined it twice. So here, we're going to use, forgot what color I used, green. And we are going to double underline it. Because that came from our Littleton card. We're not going to put that period there anymore. We're going to put our little caret symbol because we're going to insert where we got that information. We got it from Littleton because that's on our card. And we got that from page 1373, parentheses, period. So we just told the reader we got this from our card. We got it from Littleton because he's the one who wrote it. And then we got it from page 373. So we have to put this at the very end in parentheses with the period. And that is how we would end our sentence. So you would have to kind of go back and revise that. Our next one, the Titans were personified forms of natural forces. Now, was that somewhere else on our paper? Yes. You remember that was under the Titans. So, we're going to take our blue marker and just underline this once. And because we got it from the Titans, here's our little caret. We don't know who wrote it. We got this from the internet. So we can't put the author, we have to put the title of the article. So we have to put that in quotations. So we do have to do parentheses, quotations, Titans, unquote that. Or we got it, we must say out somewhere because we have the page number, so I'm not sure why we don't have the author, but it's not listed. 997 parentheses period. So we had to include that at the end. So we have a period, or we have a sentence that ends with Littleton 1373 in parentheses with a period, and then we have it in Titans. Remember, because we don't know the author, we have to put it, the title in quotations, and then 997. We put that in quotations to say, no, like Mr. Titan didn't write it. We just found the article. That's why you put it in quotations to say it's not an author, it's just the article. Moving on, it is possible that associating with the gods who rule the earth with nature shows how much control natural elements exerted over the Greeks. Well, we just wrote that, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to cite that sort. I mean, we have to cite it, but we don't have to do our parenthetical citations or documentations. Additionally, the stories that the Titans fall from power reveal a Grecian preoccupation with the inevitability of fate, which controls and directs all lives and events. So if you remember, that was from our Titan card. So it's our blue. You're going to underline it once. And then you want to look cool. We're going to do our parenthetical citations. And of course, this would change if you found it on different pages. That's why you write them on note cards. That's why you put the author or the title at the top and then the page number, so you know where you got that information. Finally, this too suggests that the Greeks may have felt like they were at the mercy of forces larger than themselves and that they had little personal control over their lives. That, of course, is nowhere found on our cards. So we can just highlight that. Oops. Historians also note another theme that represents itself in Greek stories of the Titans, the violent power struggles that result in the overthrow of the ruling gods by their children. This, they speculate, may mirror real-life situations when foreign invaders attempted to impose or interrogate their own cultures into existing Greek ways. So if you remember, you found that information on that Littleton card. So we are going to have to double underline it. We want to do parentheses Littleton, our page number, which is 1373, parentheses period, because we found that information on that card. And finally, although myths are only stories, they may reveal more about the way people thought and lived than would be apparent at first glance. For this reason, they are worth further study. So of course, we just ended it, we concluded it. So that is our own words. We didn't get that anywhere. That gets highlighted. So basically this kind of makes you think about where you get quotes, where you get information, how to write your paper with those parenthetical citations or documentations, and you can point to where you got it. And then remember, all this information would go on your works cited page at the very end of this report. And so there would be a works cited page here with the information listed. We're going to do more work with this, with more parenthetical citations and documentations. So best of luck with you, and I'll see you next week.